Good evening. I'm Nur Sabrina binti Nazrin, metric number A186114. Today I will present about secondary sector, which is a manufacturing industry sector. Manufacturing industry sector.
Yeah, start. Sorry, we cannot hear you. Can you start? We cannot hear you.
Sorry, doctor. Okay, the first slide is about manufacturing sector. The manufacturing sector comprises establishment engaged in the mechanical, physical or chemical transformation of material substance of component into the new product. The importance of a manufacturing, the first one, it is the backbone of industrial development. It helps to reduce people dependence on the primary sector by providing job opportunities in the secondary sector. And the last one is for import and export of manufactured goods, bring in a much needed foreign exchange. Okay, next slide is about industry sector. Industry sector is economy development in the most developed countries is based on the industrial sector, which is artificial intelligence, robotic, Internet of Things, automotive vehicle, 3D printing, nanotechnology, biotechnology, material science, engine, energy storage, and quantum computing. And this is a graph of sectoral transformation from 1960 to 2021. The data of a Malaysian from 1916 to 2021 is the average value for Malaysian during the period was 21.16%, which is the minimum of 9.38% in 1963, and at the maximum is on 1999, which is 30.94%, and the latest value from 2021 is 23.49%. For the recent value is from 2014 until 2021. At the minimum percent is on 2019, which is 21.14%. Malaysian industrialization. The first one is a late 1916, which is a small domestic market. In the 1968 is an Investment Incentive Act. 1972 is a free trade zone. 1918 is heavy industry. 1986 until 1995 is Industrial Master Plan, which is PIP. 1996 until 2005 is Industrial Master Plan 2. 2006 until 2020 is a third Industrial Master Plan 3. Okay, the first one is after 1960 and early 1970. On 1960 is a small domestic market, progress limited, high unemployment and low capital. 1968 is Investment Incentive Act, which is encourage investment. There is labor intensive industry and export-oriented industry. Foreign capital is encouraged. 1972 is a free trade zone, which is an investment incentive, included tax relief, industrial allowance, foreign equality 100% and 100 return on the capital and profit, R&D incentive, training and export, machinery, transport equipment, chemical and metal, contribution, employment, GDP compared to alternative industry import. On the 1980 is a heavy industry, which is a high technology, big investment, long planning period, return on capital for long term, and reduced dependency, capital and intermediate goods industry, oriented industry export, HICOM Heavy Industry Corporation of Malaysia, which is a benefit versus labor and raw material, urban and rural and less developed countries. For the policy, 1986, the first one, Industry Master Plan. The Investment Promotion Act 1968 was replaced by the Promotion Act. Investment 1986, then and 1988 Malaysian Industry Development Authority, which MIDA, Center Investment, which is approval of the tax incentive from MIDA. For the policy in development strategy industrialization from 1971 until 1980, the first one is tariff protection, which is tariff on the imported good, import quota, exemption from custom tax on machinery and equipment, exemption from excise duty on the raw material. The second one is encouragement investment. Approval pilot status, which is tax exemption. The first one is release or activity encourage, which is encourage company high technology, industrial change, intermediate IKS, national interest MST level, and R&D company. Investment tax allowance, large capital project return period long. Industrial coordinate allowance, infrastructure allowance, which is manufacturing, hotel and tourism. And the second, deduction for export promotion for looking export opportunity, advertising expenses, export market research, exhibitions, fairs and accommodation. The last one is other facilities. The first one is infrastructure, supporting institutions like MIDA, Bumiputra Bank for promote the coordinates, planner, enterprise research, finance, a free trade zone, skill loyal labor, training and flexible foreign exchange, which is a flexible, no need to approval, and borrowing exchange control and guarantee non-national companies. Agreement to avoid tax to time, and the investment guideline and regulation. For Industrial Master Plan, which is PIP from 1986 until 1999, the first one is for industrialization is the engine of economic growth, property eradication, and social restructuring. The objective of PIP 1 is manufacturing sector, economic development, and DEB. Optimal use of national resources, added value, local technology development. PIP strategy. The first one for existing industrial incentive restructure, diversity, export and import substitutions, and the phase of SII is advanced. Encourage made in Malaysia, find a new export market, then expanding the industry, which is a less development, R&D, which is public and private, and heavy industry, which is driver of development, and the last one is IKS. For Industrial Master Plan 2, PIP 2, from 1996 until 2005, for existing and new factories, which is installment, production, and also the product design, distribution, marketing, for moving up the level change. For the objective is from technology to production. For high technology manufacturing, industrial network to comprehensive network of activity, a group based approval. And for the strategy, PIP 2 is a focus for the global market and world-class manufacture, competition, cluster development, industrial network expansion. Then for human resources development, which is technology absorption, infrastructure, and business for manufacturing company owned by Malaysian is when more. For the manufacturing is for information and knowledge incentive, R&D, which is a product design. For third Industrial Master Plan, which is an IMP from 2006 to 2020, is formulation towards global competitiveness. For the objective is for global competitive transformation and innovation of the manufacture and service sector. And for the strategy, Malaysia is a main trade country for export brands and international standard for foster local companies. Second is for investment for the target area, for encourage foreign and local growth compensation, technology park, encourage MNC, then and expanding operation for conducive environment. The last one is in integrity Malaysian company for regional and global network, for encourage a company focus according to strength and outsourcing. Malaysian for regional center for services of halal, biotechnology, and automotive. The sector development problem industry, which is have a 6. The first one for placement promotion. Number 2 is effect of foreign capital investment. The number 3, the impact of a pilot level policy 77. Number 4 for the problem is the impact due the emphasis on import substitution industry. Number 5, the effect of emphasis on the production of a consumer goods. And the last one, the effect of the migration of rural people to the city. For the strategy industry, the first one for planning details through market, demand, supply, techno and manpower. For additional icon system and coverage, in diversify industrial export based on the resources from local resources and labor. The strategy import substitution stage, which is second chosen from techno capital barang height. Diversify the market export from rubber, woods, from Europe, China and Asian. Distribution industry from IKS connections and share facility. R&D, which is from public and private industry based on the source. Emphasis to industry wage, and the last one for development small industry, which is complement, encouragement, consultation and techno. For the next slide is about automotive industry. This is a graph about the sales of passenger vehicle in selected Asian countries from in 2007 and 2011. The graph shows that the sales of the passenger vehicle was highest in Malaysia, followed by Indonesia and Thailand in 2007. The national car of nation, which is Proton and Pro2, competed with import car by offering competitive pricing and target lower income segment of the population. Be that as it may, Indonesia had the highest sellers volume of passenger vehicle in 2011, followed by Malaysia and Thailand. For Malaysian, 2011, which is 535,113, and for 2007 is 442,885. This is graph of production of national car production in Malaysia from 1996 until 2012. The production of passenger vehicle by the national car manufacturers expanded impressively from about 70,000 unit in 1985 to 181,578 unit in 1996, increasing to 230,041 and 260,179 unit in 1996 and 1997 respectively. But production declined to 126,400 10 units in 1998 due to the economic recession, and rose nearly double to 232,757 units into 2000, when the company began to recover in 1996. Apart from the national car manufacturer, other assemblers have production facilities in Malaysia, including NASA Automotive Manufacturing, SDN, and NASA, and renowned international brands such as BMW, Land Rover, Mercedes, Benz, Nissan, Toyota, Volkswagen, and among others. In order to fulfill local content requirement, the two Japanese manufacturers, Mitsubishi and Mazda, contract and operate through local manufacturing and assembly plants in the Malaysia. For the strategy, using three strategies. The first one, identify the type of industry that should be ventured into, which is nation should venture into which industry, determine the linkage among the industry, and assign the right duties based on each nation's strength. The second one is that local manufacturers have to come up with their own identity or improve their brand image to penetrate the Asian market. The last one is manufacturers should cut down non-value added costs from the distribution channel because of a cost saving generated from the unproductive cost can be substantial if the volume is high. For the National Automotive Policy, which is NAP 2006, the NAP Framework 2006 was announced on 19 October 2005 by former Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad to help to regulate the local automotive industry. The NAP primarily aims to progressive market liberalization and maps the direction for the growth of the automotive industry in the country. In addition, in line with the Malaysian government commitment to the people first concept, the revised NAP provide future benefit for the consumer in terms of safety and environmental production. For the National Automotive Policy NAP 2040, the revised NAP 2040 was unveiled on the 20 January 2014. It aims to provide a competitive and sustained domestic automotive industry. For the key objective is to make Malaysia a regional automotive hub in an energy efficient vehicle, to promote and increase the export of vehicle and auto components, to promote and increase the sustained value-added activity, to foster safer and better quality vehicle at a competitive price, and the last one, to promote the participation of the Bumiputra companies in the industry. For the challenge of the industry, the first one is liberal. Which is a small burden as the government and a small response to market expansion. The second one is protectionist, which is large production lots, relatively easy for the support industry to grow. And the third is for leadership of host country. For next is a number of rival has increased, which the next one is external changes. The first one is number of rival has increased, which is liberalization of the automotive market following AFTA. The number of rival has increased the stress on the local industry. The second one is market share is less than 16%. The domestic market share is currently less than 30%, and its dominance in the market is expected to future decline with a more liberalization of the market in the near future. The last one is a competition from Thailand. The country also faces enormous competition from Thailand since the latter provides attractive pricing and models. On the other hand, the introduction of AFTA may open the greatest opportunity for the automotive industry via regional cooperation. In order to remain competitive, the number countries have to improve the quality of their receptive automotive industry. Non-collective strategy among Asian members allow greatest opportunity for trade deflection. Such as persistence of such unhealthy trade will not be advantageous collectively to Asian because it harms nearly set up local industry. The impact of foreign workers in Malaysia. The first one is crime problem. The second one is increased the productivity and increase national economy, and impact for gross national and impact to foreign exchange. Okay, construction sector. Construction sector is activity related to building and repairing structure and facility fixed. Construction includes of residential housing building, non-residential building, which is a commercial and industrial office building. The third one is civil engineering, which is roads, bridge, canal, ports, and airport. Last one is installation and repair work. The construction can also be classified according to the type of work, namely a new construction, modification, repair, maintenance, and demolition. This is contribution of the construction sector to GDP and energy consumption. For the GDP, in 1917 is 811 and increased to 2066 and increased until 2003 is 7,641. For the energy consumption, from 91 and increased to 2067 and increased until to 593. For the government measure to develop the construction sector, for increase the allocation for low cost housing program. The first one is Prima Act 2011 for offer high quality housing with a modern lifestyle concept for the middle income city dwellers. Price between 100,000 to 400,000. The average monthly household income between 2,500 to 15,000. The commercial bank have extended the housing loan repayment period to 13 years. Withdraw of a certain percent of money from the EPF for the purpose of buying a house. For the conclusion, it is increasingly perceptive that trade and market liberalization will have significant implications on the country's automotive industry. In effect, firms will collapse all the expense of the stronger rival. Therefore, nation needs to cooperate with the larger automaker in the future by taking a more aggressive international collaboration with the other automaker worldwide to strengthen its competitive position in the global market. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Let's go back to the from the beginning of your slide. Let's go back to from the beginning of your slide. Okay, put on your slide and from the beginning you start back again.
Doctor, you are muted.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. Okay, thank you for your presentation. Please go back to your slides from the beginning because I'm gonna add a number of things. This is our concept you present, and I will add on to complete what you are not, missing items over there, or to give more inputs. And even if there's some information which is not uh, accurate, I'm gonna correct that. So let's go from the beginning of your slides. Show that slide, please. Please show your slide, please. Go back to your early first page of your slide. Okay, okay, next. Go next. Move next slide. Move to the next slide, please. Until you see about Investment Act, that slide. Yeah, please move to that slide. Well, from beginning. This is the first slide. Go to second and third and so on. Quickly. Okay, next. So over here, wait. the graph, what you should, okay, this is value added of manufacturing. What it means, the, you know, the cost, the total minus the cost, that's value added. So this is the value added for the manufacturing. You can see this was going up, and you notice that 1980 was, until 1985 was flat and going up again, and then sometime from 2002 or 3, the value added has gone down. And if you can find that out, you know, this is latest value added by as a percentage. This is of GDP. It's not clear, the data for 60. Is the percentage share to GDP? Please tell us. So there's the graph there. Latest value added by manufacturing is the share percentage to GDP.
Yes, doctor.
Okay. If that's the case, that's only one of the graph that we're looking for. When I mentioned to you, get the overall picture, you should have on the same graph what happened to agriculture, on the same graph what happened to services. And over the weekend, I did a graph for that, similar type. I think that was on our Telegram. I shared it on our Telegram. Let's see. Oh, I was using a bar uh, chart, or the other one that I share. So we're gonna see if you do that, agriculture will be going down, service will be from already high and going higher, but this manufacturing was kind of going up. And by 2005 or 2004, the one that I look at the data, it was 2005. After that, manufacturing started to go down. So it's like a inverted U kind of graph for manufacturing. Next slide. And this one, I must mention to you, you must listen carefully. For Malaysia's industrialization, it began with, very important, the Pioneer Ordinance. The Pioneer Ordinance of 1958. Okay? Pioneer Ordinance. Let's I'm doing a Google on it. Okay, Pioneer Industries Ordinance 1958. If I can, okay. So it began with that. Pioneer Industries Ordinance 1958. Independence 1957. Independence 1957. Uh, it was still Malaya. Okay, independence before Malaysia. Malaysia 1963. Okay, 57th, the year 1957, independence. The formation of Malaysia, so the formation of Malaysia was 1963. Okay, so any law before that formation of Malaysia, it was considered as ordinance. So Malaysia's the history of industrialization, I'm not saying begin with, but when you talk about, I'm not saying begin with 58, but when you talk about the incentives, you will be talking about act. So because the act, the laws will be governing what is being allowed, what is being promoted, to be given incentives and so on. So you must mention first Pioneer Industries Ordinance 1958, just 1 year after independence, before formation of Malaysia 1963. Pioneer Industries Ordinance 1958. So this ordinance give tax holiday, or we call it tax incentive. What is incentive? Galakkan tax, galakkan berbentuk cukai. Tax incentive. Companies, foreign investors, or investors that come to Malaya at that time would be exempted from tax, from corporate or company tax for 10 years. Hello. Waalaikumsalam. Ya, ya. Oh, saya tengah kelas. Saya angkat juga, takut penting sangat. Okey, okey. Ya. Okay. This 1958 Pioneer Industries Ordinance of 1958 gave companies that came to invest in Malaya to start industries, new industries. They will be considered as pioneer companies. Pioneer. So they will be given tax incentive in the form of exemption. Do not need to pay tax, corporate tax, company tax. Did not need to pay tax for 10 years. So 10 years holiday, tax holiday. No need to pay tax for 10 years. That was given by the it Pioneer Industries Ordinance 1958. And then the government wanted to promote domestic manufacturing of products which the country had been importing. So Malaysia embarked on in 1968 Investment Incentive Act of 1968. This is the import substitution, beginning of import substitution in Malaysia in 1968 with the Investment Incentive Act. So now I mentioned to you two. 58 ordinance, that was before Malaysia. Malaysia was formed in 1963. Okay, 63. Before 1963, no Malaysia. It was Malaya. 63, Malaysia was formed. So after that, any laws will be named. Will be used with the word act. So this 1968 give tax holidays 10 years exemption for companies that met the conditions of being in the industries that being promoted for import substitution. So at that time, it was simple manufacturing. What? All the simple, not the heavy industries. So I want to share with you from, not yet, there's another one. And then just turn the number around. 1986, Promotion of Investment Act 1986. So 1968, you can see on the screen, Investment Incentive Act. This would give incentives in terms of tax holidays to companies that would be manufacturing products in line with the import substitution policy of Malaysia at that time. I explained to you what import substitution is, which is to produce domestically products which a country has been importing. So that was 1968 Investment Incentive Act. So we learn also that import substitution is a temporary policy to help companies operating domestically, to help them grow so that they can stand on their own by having protection. That protection may come in the form of tariff, which we call it protective tariff, to protect the domestic companies or the companies that's producing domestically, to protect from competition from imports from overseas. So higher tariffs, and that protection theoretically meant to be temporary, but what happened was that import substitution policy turned out to be a inward-looking policy which may not give the continuous success because the companies are protected from competition. And number one is that you must make the government must make a right selection which companies, which industries even to go into, and which companies to to support in terms of giving them protection from competition. So that will create really misalignment in terms of prices. Domestic prices were higher than uh, world price. So, and this will create some kind of sucking out maybe investment which could have gone to more efficient firms, but rather the firms that were being protected by the tariffs may not necessarily be a efficient firms. So that's why the change in 1986, 68, you just turned 86 with the promotion PIA. This one 68 IIA. 86 change, just change it. PIA, Promotion of Investment Act, and that 86 signaled the move in terms of policy from import substitution to export promotion. So from inward looking to outward looking. So with this 1986 PIA, Promotion of Investment Act, companies that meet targets of exports, they have the details are there, which you don't have to remember. In order to get these tax incentives, you must export certain percentage of your products. Must export. So export has become a criterion for firms or for a company to get this incentive from the 1986. 86, not here, not listed here. So, and then in 1981, when Dr. Mahathir became Prime Minister, and by 1983, he began already with a push, 1983, okay, push toward heavy industry. Heavy industry here refer to the automobile industry plus steel. So he launched the HICOM, Heavy Industry Corporation of Malaysia, HICOM, HICOM. This HICOM entered into joint venture with Mitsubishi Highcom and Mitsubishi opened a company called Perusahaan Otomobil Nasional, which was known until today, Proton. So Proton was at the beginning was joint venture between Highcom and Mitsubishi. So by 1985, the first prototype of Proton Saga came out from factory, prototype. So by 1985, 1986, 1987, I think, the first, Proton Saga came out by 1987 or by 1985. So you don't have to remember that. So, and then we have the, okay, the other one was the steel, Perwaja. Perwaja steel was one of the items main to complement the automobile. So Perwaja steel. And then you have this master plan. So in summary, I'm trying to complete your list here by mentioning the 1958 Pioneer Industries Ordinance 58, and then move into import substitution. Yes, import substitution at that time was simple manufacturing only to produce shoes, to produce anything, so that all products that Malaysia had been importing to produce that locally. That was 1968 Investment Incentive Act, and that was repealed. No more. Repealed by 1986 Promotion of Investment Act 1986. Let me see here. Anything? Okay, next slide, please.
Doctor, may I know how to spell pioneer?
Pioneer, P-I-O, Pioneer, N-E-E-R. In Malay, perintis. Perintis. So, if you stop sharing for a while, I share this. I saw on my screen. Please stop your sharing. I will share my screen. Yeah. Can you see here on the screen?
Yes, Doctor.
Yeah. This 1958 Pioneer Industries Ordinance. Ordinance. 58, 57 independence, but not yet Malaysia. Still Malaya. Masih tanah Melayu. the name, Malaysia Persekutuan Tanah Melayu at that time, 57, 1963 Malaysia. That's why after Malaysia, we could, it's called Act. So 1968 was Investment Incentive Act. That was including investment tax allowance, all those. That was the beginning of import substitution policy. I'm not saying imports, it is a policy. In terms of policy, 68 was to boost the import substitution. It's an import substitution policy. Was the other one 1986? Not listed here. Or maybe investment tax allowance is one of the item in the promotion. So could be this table, whoever, made this table, make a mistake or what. But 1986. So 1971, NEP, 1971, free trade zones, all this. And then 1975, Industrial Coordination Act. 1975. 1980, HICOM, and so on. So this Industrial Coordination Act, before that, there was a committee. Now, with the Industrial Coordination Act, let me Google. 1 second. Because before, there was a point. All this, the act earlier was under the Ministry of Finance. But now, all these acts are administered by the MITI, Ministry of International Trade and Industry, specifically under MIDA, Malaysia Industrial Development Authority. One second, I forgot what I was trying to. Okay, this Promotion of Investment Act 86 replaced that of 68. Yeah, I wanted to Google this Industrial Coordination Act. An act to provide for the coordination of and orderly development of manufacturing activities in Malaysia, for the establishment of an industrial advisory council, and for other matters. Not complete. Yeah. This we read from Maida. Okay, this the Industrial Coordination Act of 1975 was introduced to maintain an orderly development and growth of country's manufacturing sector, requires manufacturing companies with shareholders fund of 2.5 million or above engaging 75 or more full-time employees to apply for manufacturing license for approval by the MITI. So here, this 1975 Act was to promote industries that will that would provide jobs. So here you can see here, number one, set the amount of funds, which is 2.5 million and or above, and engage or employ 75 or more, at least 75 full-time workers in order to get a license from MITI, this MIDA, okay? So let's go back to your your slides. I stop sharing mine. Go back to previous slide, the list we saw just now. Yes. Okay, let's go through this. 1960 and early 70s, small domestic market, progress limited, high unemployment, low capital. Yes, that's why 1960s, there was a problem for Malaysia. High unemployment. So the role of industries at that time was to create jobs for the people. And then 1968, IIA was to promote import substitution companies or firms. The policy was import substitution in labor-intensive industries. Why labor? Malaysia had a lot of labor that time, so this would create jobs for the people. And then at the same time, so this is 60, it was still the, so foreign capital is encouraged. You put there export-oriented industries, not yet. Not yet. That was wrong. Still, import substitution. That export-oriented industries came with the 86 PIA, PR 86. Okay, not there. You should erase that in your slide. Labor incentive and import substitution. Foreign capital is encouraged, yes, correct. And then you should add over there PR, Promotion of Investment Act 1986. And 72, Free Trade Zone 86. But before 86, you must remember Proton Saga 1983 prototype. Someone in the slide that I showed earlier, that what I share, someone said 1980. HICOM, wrong. Because Dr. Mahathir became Prime Minister 1981, not 1980. So it was wrong 1980. The other person, that I show on this when I share. Dr. Mahathir became Prime Minister 1981. 1983. 1983 prototype of Proton Saga came out. So he began with HICOM in 1983. 1983, 1985, and then Proton Saga. So 1986, PR came. PR, Promotion of Investment Act. That was to change Malaysia in terms of policy from import substitution to export-oriented industries, export-oriented industrialization. That was 1986. You must remember again, bring back what we learned 1985. Before that, 85 was economic recession in Malaysia. 85. 86, PR. With the PR, Malaysia from 1987 until 1997 was having the golden years of economic growth and rapid industrialization. I would say was having rapid industrialization and economic growth from 87, but halted, stopped immediate, stopped by the East Asian currency crisis of 1987. Otherwise, if there were no crisis, East Asian currency crisis, Malaysia could have continued much longer on a rapid industrialization and rapid economic growth. So, and then 1972, free trade zone, investment incentives, tax relief. Yeah, when I use the word tax holiday, yeah, the word tax relief, same, tax relief, holiday relief. Industrial allowance, foreign equity. Yes, with this 1972, there was a liberalization in the Malaysian manufacturing policy. Before that, especially post 1971 DEB, New Economic Policy, Dasar Ekonomi Baru. Remember 1969, the dark day of May 13, 1969, Malaysia. Because of 1969, that incident, 1971 began the Dasar Ekonomi Baru, New Economic Policy. And that was 1971. With 1971, New Economic Policy, everything must be 30%, 30%, 30%. Any foreign companies that wanted to invest in Malaysia must meet the requirement of 30% Bumiputra, employment, Bumiputra, ownership in the company. So must joint venture with the Bumiputra. But this I'm not sure when you listed this 1972 foreign equity, that came much, much later, much later, not 1972. Yes, true, free trade zone 1972. This foreign equity 100% came with the what was the other one? The one that I just mentioned. Wait. So that 75 Industrial Coordination Act of 1975, not yet. Came with the 86, yes. This foreign equity 100% was liberalization in the government policy, industrial policy, with taking off the 30% that allowed 100% foreign equity and 100% return on capital and profits, already incentive training, export, machinery. Okay, these are. And so please edit your slide so that people do not get wrong idea that people would think by 1972, oh, 100% ownership. No, not yet. You must remember, 71 was the beginning of Dasar Ekonomi Baru. Dasar Ekonomi Baru, number one, to eliminate poverty irrespective of race, and number one. Number two, to restructure the Malaysian society in that to give opportunities for the Bumi Putra that was lacking. So to give them opportunities to be in the modern sector, in manufacturing and so on. So if you say 1972, no, wrong. 1971, just beginning of Dasar Ekonomi Baru. So until 1990. So must have been the liberalization that occurred as Malaysia was struggling to recover from the 1985 economic recession. So in that 1986, the year after 85, 86, there was the beginning of liberalization. So in conclusion for that, if you start with domestic production, 1958 was the pioneer to start. What is pioneer to start? For example, UKM began in 1970. Those who graduate, the first batch, the pioneers, similar, to start the industries, pioneer industries ordinance of 1958, and then 68 import substitution, 86 export promotion plus liberalization. That was 86. Why? That liberalization to help Malaysia come out from the economic recession. And with that, 1986 signal the change from inward looking, which is import substitution, inward looking, to export promotion policy, 1986. And then from there, Malaysia was on the path of golden years from 87 until 97. And that saw machinery. If you say machinery there, you're talking about I'm just making some kind of not correction. It's correct. But when you look at Malaysia's export from SITC 1 digit. It says machinery. But people get wrong understanding. Oh, Malaysia exported machines. You mean engines? No. SITC is like address. 1 digit, Selangor, 43600. Bangi, UKM Bangi, 433. The district, Hulu Langat. So you don't know what yet. So 4 is Selangor, 3 Hulu Langat, 436. Aha, Bangi. At least 3 digit and 00. 0 is the location. For example, Bandar Baru Bangi, where I live, 43650. UKM Bangi, 43600. See the difference? My home, 43650. That gives the specific location. So SITC, same thing. 1 digit, machinery and transport equipment. That's the name. Machinery and transport equipment. That's SITC 7. 1 digit. Selangor. Oh, so luas. Selangor. Where? Could be Hulu Selangor. Could be Sungai Besar. Could be. So you have to go another digit, more detail. 43. Oh, Hulu Langat. Daerah. Huh? Oh, still large. Oh, 4360. Bandar Baru Bangi. Like that. So SITC 7 is the main export of Malaysia. 1 digit. The name is machinery and transport equipment. Oh, wow. Malaysia, export machinery and transport equipment. Oh, must be the success of Proton Saga, Pro 2. No. In that SITC 7, you have to go second digit. 71. What is 71? 72, 73, 74, 76, 78, 79. Turns out that 77 is the main export as second digit. I give you today the picture in our telegram. 77. Oh, whoa, that's electrical machinery. That machinery there, 77. Okay, 7 is machinery and transport equipment. Okay, follow me. 7 machinery and transport equipment. 7 SITC. 77. We scroll up. Oh, 77 is the biggest export of Malaysia. What is 77? Not the machinery, the engine. Electrical machinery. 77. So when you say machinery, there's a physical engine machinery, and the other one is electrical machinery. 77. You scroll down. Scroll on. What is 771? 772, 773, 774, 775, 776, 777, 778, 779. Oh, it turns out at 3-digit level, 776. Aha! The main export of Malaysia, semiconductor. That's it. You finally can see, just like address, 4 Selangor, 3 Hulu Langat, daerah, 6 Bangi. Where in Bangi? 5 43650. 50. My home is in the 50 zone. See? 50. 5 digits already. More detail, huh? zip code. In America, what they call it, zip code. Here, postcode, same. 43650, 5 digits. Clearly, very detailed. Same thing, products also. First digit, okay. Second digit, 3 digit. At least, if you can go more, 776 what? Point what? 776. More detail. But at least 3 digit, you know already. Semiconductor. The name is thermionic valve or something. That's semiconductor. Chemical and metal, yeah, that's heavy industry. Heavy industry, capital, reduce capital, heavy ICOM, 19 industrial master plan. Oh yeah, on the right, you see. Now finally, the one I was talking about. Yeah, okay. According to your title, 60 early on the left. Okay, that's fine. But you left out the story from beginning, 1958, Pioneer Industries Ordinance. Okay, on my right, 1986 Industrial Master Plan. Yes, the Investment Promotion Act of 1968, or PR. Actually, PR, Promotion of Investment Act, PR, not IPA. Okay, not IPA. PR, Promotion of Investment Act 1968 was replaced. Oh, oh, you didn't mention on the left. No, you mentioned here was replaced. Even PR, the name is PR of 1960. Oh, okay. Investment Incentive Act 1968. Okay. Investment Incentive Act of 1968 was replaced by Promotion of Investment Act, PR, 1986. And then you must explain liberalization, export oriented, no more import substitution, except no more import substitution except the heavy industry. Heavy industry was actually import substitution, except, you know why? Except this is 1986, okay? But still, Proton Saga just beginning. Proton Saga just began in 1983. The established, sorry, I need water. The establishment of Proton Saga was in fact import substitution. Do you agree? Proton Saga, the establishment in 1983 was import substitution because previously Malaysia imported cars now to produce domestically. So that was import substitution of cars and steel manufacturing, steel, besi dan kulili. So that's why I said 1986, no more import substitution except kecuali cars and steel manufacturing. Whereas all this electronic semiconductor is for export. So 1986, export oriented industrialization in Malaysia. 86, 88 in MIDA was established, became central. Yes, 88 investment through MIDA. Yes, this one I mentioned earlier. Before MIDA, okay, before MIDA, it was under Ministry of Finance. So now the approval is under, for investment is under MIDA, which is MIDA is a unit under MITI. Okay, next slide. So tariff protection. The tariff protection was during the import substitution. You know, the 1968, the Investment Act 1968 give tariff protection to domestic companies. I mean, companies producing domestically, other facilities, encouragement. Okay, next. Okay, in the semester plan. So now let's go to the when you're discussing about do you discuss about service, I give you in my telegram, you should discuss also manufacturing versus services. Would you go into that?
Sorry, Doctor, I not include the slide.
So the idea was basically this. Malaysia, well, number one, let me state again, all our presentation is about transformation in Malaysia. I mean, transformation, structural transformation of the Malaysian economy, which is agriculture went down, manufacturing went up, but now going down, but services is always high from beginning until today is high, and services has become a new engine of growth. What I mean by engine? Engine, something that drive the economy. So in the past, it was agriculture, and after that, manufacturing and or industry. Okay, sometimes we talk about it interchangeably, industry or manufacturing. But when we talk about the manufacturing sector, individually, it was 33% of GDP in 2005 at the peak, at the boom boom, 33% of GDP, manufacturing alone. But now it's 22% only of GDP. So up and down. But services is always high, and service altogether, everything else will be service, including government service, financial service, whatever service, hotel, transport, all this under one. So it's high because of that. But service has been designated as a new engine of growth of Malaysia. So the question is manufacturing not important? So can someone answer my question quickly? When you say that services is a new engine of growth, are you saying that manufacturing not important? Can someone answer me? Fatin Nasuha, can you answer me? Hanif, can you answer me? Are you saying manufacturing not important?
No, Doctor, it is important as services because let's say that Malaysia is not doing the manufacturing, so the dependency on Malaysia on the other countries will be greater because we need the manufacturing items to be imported in Malaysia.
Yeah. Manufacturing is very important for Malaysia as a small open economy and as an export sector. So Malaysia need to export. So manufacturing is actually the products that Malaysia export, along with those from commodities, palm oil uh, and natural gas. So manufacturing still is not diminished, tidak berkurang. It's not diminished. It's very important. So that has to be in synergy, good synergy with services. So the question is service a reliable engine of growth? What is engine? You want the engine is working. You don't want your car, stop in the middle of highway, will create traffic jam for long kilometers because of your car alone. Breakdown. Services, yes, services can bring a lot of high value added because service has more or higher value added than manufacturing. Service, the nature of the sector, service compared with manufacturing. For example, the largest money making company in the world could be, Walmart. Walmart is not manufacturing of anything. Walmart is to sell products. It's a service, retail. So selling other people's manufactured goods. So more high or higher value added in services, especially financial services, stock market and so on. You make a lot of money in the service sector, but there is also risk. So service sector can bring a lot of money for the country. Money, high value added that will generate income for the country, will increase GDP, including, economic growth, including increased GDP per capita. But there is risk also, high risk with the service sector, especially financial services sector, big risk. So that's why, taking example of Korea, that came out to recover fast from the 1997-98, 97-98 East Asian currency crisis. Korea came out and recovered very quickly because Korea had a strong foundation, strong fundamentals in the manufacturing sector. So here it is. I pose you a question. Is the service sector a reliable sector of engine of growth? The answer will be tricky. Yes, service sector can provide higher value added that can increase economic growth. However, service sector are particularly exposed to risk, down risk. If there is a crash in the market, if there's a recession, global economic recession, the service sector would be the most affected. Well, of course, other sector also affected, manufacturing. For example, if global economic recession for Malaysia, manufacturing will be affected because Malaysia's export, the markets are in United States, the markets are in Europe, the markets are in China. So when there's global recession, Malaysia, including manufacturing, will be affected. But more heavily impacted, very volatile, strongly would be the financial sector, which is one of the service, the subsector of the service sector, which could have brought Malaysia a good source of income. So if that's the case, surely Malaysia Malaysia needs to have a strong foundation in manufacturing and in the commodities. So that the importance of commodity like palm oil during the COVID-19 lockdown, and to recover from the lockdown of COVID-19, PKP, Perintah Kawalan Pergerakan, everything was closed, and then opening up, it was the palm oil sector that was one of the most important sector of the economy that helped Malaysia recover from the recession of, we call it COVID recession, okay, COVID economic recession. It was palm oil. And manufacturing, it took more time to recover because you have to start again the factories. But taking aside the COVID story, what I'm saying is that Malaysia, that's why during the 1980s, because of 1985 economic recession, remember economic recession at 95, Malaysia realized the need for diversification. Before 1985, it was, one second. My notebook battery. Before 1985, Malaysia was too much dependent on export of commodities of tin and rubber. So, because of that recession, why that recession? Yes, the collapse of prices of commodities. The prices of commodities collapsed, went down very sharply. So Malaysia, that was dependent on the export of commodities, suffered. So minus 1.5 was considered a big minus for Malaysia at that time, minus 1.5. So because of that recession, Malaysia learned that Malaysia needed to diversify its export base from commodities to manufacturing. Doesn't mean that commodities not important. They are important, but now manufacturing. That's why with the 1986 PR and liberalization and export oriented in manufacturing, and zoom, 87 began the golden years of Malaysia, 87 until 97. Next slide. Yeah, sorry, let me finish with that. So the conclusion with my question about is, manufacturing versus service. Both are important. Both are important. So there must be a synergy between the two. The manufacturing must be strong as a base, as a basis, as a foundation. If anything happened to the service sector, because service sector are more exposed to risk. Volatile risk. I'm not saying manufacturing does not have risk, but more volatile. The risk is more volatile, up and down, up and down. Maybe if it's down too much down with the financial, especially sector, which is part of the service sector. So both important, one another need to be helping one another. And then move on to your construction slide. And then you must prepare questions. So this is our class. Our class student present, and I will do the lecture to cover those who are not complete, and also to make adjustment or corrections if some not accurate. Construction. And prepare your question, okay? Yes. I bring you to this slide to drive the notion to you that all our presentation from day one until the end is about structural transformation in the Malaysian economy. We're not interested in the particular or specific sector itself per se. For example, if someone would be discussing the service sector, we're not interested in knowing about the service sector. We want to see how service sector, manufacturing, agriculture, construction, all these interplay with each other, how are these sectors are being, what I call this, jostled up or down because of that transformation in the Malaysian economy. So we're not interested in the construction to know about construction. No. We want to look at this construction in the context of that transformation. So for that, I will explain this way. Construction is very important as well. Even though the percentage share is only 6% or 7% of GDP, today, in the past it was 5 or something like that. Never like 20, never 15%. But construction is very important sector in GDP of Malaysia, because construction will create what I call this multiplier effect through backward linkages. More construction, more steel will be needed, more everything, labor of course, more materials, whatever materials, steel, rubber, all these construction materials, and that will create the economy, general economy. So never underestimate the importance of construction sector. However, if you look at the percentage share of the construction sector, it cannot be very high, even though it's important. So that's what I say, 7% only. But that 7% is important. Especially, so when you discuss about this transformation in the Malaysian economy, construction sector was very strong. in the process of Malaysia's industrialization. So that goes together with Malaysia was having a rapid industrialization period. Okay, when I mentioned to you golden years, 87 to 97, golden years economic growth, industrialization rapid. So was the construction to build factories, and also Malaysia was, you know, 97 stopped, but Malaysia was preparing for the 1988 CHOGM, at that time CHOGM, Commonwealth Head of Governments meeting. So 1988 Malaysia hosted CHOGM, you know, head of governments of all Commonwealth countries gather here in Malaysia for that meeting. And there was another one. Yes, Commonwealth Games. Yes, Commonwealth Games in Malaysia. So before the Commonwealth Games, everything, all the construction of LRT, Stadium Bukit Jalil Stadium. You know, when you built Bukit Jalil Stadium complex for Commonwealth Games, remember Commonwealth Games was 1998. Did I say 88? Wrong. 1998. Okay. 97 was the crisis, financial crisis, but Malaysia was elected already, selected as the host of 1988, not only CHOGM, but also 88 Commonwealth Games in Malaysia. You know, the crisis would not be a reason for you to lose your chance of being host of Commonwealth Games. 88, no, did I say 88? 98. Oh, got confused with that number. 98 was the Commonwealth Games. 97 was the crisis. 98 Commonwealth Games. Because of the Commonwealth Games, construction was very rapid to build stadium, you know, the Bukit Jalil, even the airport, KLIA. KLIA was not there. Malaysia was using Subang Airport as international, but because of Commonwealth Games, so KLIA that we have today, all this for the magic year of 98. So all the construction, LRT, stadiums, Kuala Lumpur International Airport, everything, that was 98, okay? So before 98, so must be 96 already, they started building. 95 already planning, and 96 order. So construction sector was very, very strong at that time. Yeah, even the Petronas Twin Tower. You see, Petronas Twin Tower also to showcase Malaysia for the 98 Commonwealth Games, everything. So, construction sector. And now, it's strong. The second tallest structure in the world is the Merdeka 118. Near completion, Merdeka 118, the second tallest. And Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur has more skyscrapers in this region, in Southeast Asia. Malaysia is like number one of having these skyscrapers in Southeast Asia. So very, very important. So now your turn. You students must have questions for the presenter. Go ahead.
Assalamualaikum. I have a question to Sabrina. What is the Japanese role in Malaysia industrialization? Can you explain with the details?
Thank you for your question because there's a part of my lecture that I want to. But Sabrina first.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Japan's role in Malaysia in industrialization in the 1918 and 1990, Japan was the biggest investor in Malaysia and the region. The liberalization of Japan's foreign investment policy, first introduced in 1969, enabled the manufacturing giant to significantly increase its footprint in Asia. Before the 1960s, only 15 Japanese firms operate in Malaysia. The national car factory Proton got the cooperation from Mitsubishi Company from Japan. Proton was established on 7 May 1983. At the first car, Proton Saga was launched in 1985. Now, the Malaysian automotive industry in Proton and Produa is comparable to Honda, Audi, BMW, Mercedes, and so on. And the local designer are trained in Japan, Italy, and also in United Kingdom. And Produa might be produced by Produa based on Daihatsu car from Japan. That's all from me.
Yeah. Thank you for the question because I may not, you know, touched if not for the question that it posed to me. One incident, 1985. You must know, remember this. Plaza Accord. The Plaza Accord, 1985. 1985 also recession in Malaysia. This Plaza Accord agreement of G5 countries, G5 at that time, G5, not yet G7 today. What is G5? A group of five industrial major economies of the world, like United States, Britain, Japan, Germany, US, UK, Japan, Germany. What's the other one? Italy. Italy. The five met at a hotel in New York. That hotel, the name was Plaza Hotel. So they reached to an agreement. So this is how, if these people met at what hotel? Hotel Rasa Sayang, Putrajaya. I make a name. Suppose there is a hotel in Putrajaya. Okay, just the name, make it. Yeah, Rasa Sayang. So Rasa Sayang Accord. That's how things got the name. It met in a hotel what? Bangi, say Bangi Hotel. So Bangi Accord. So this they reach agreement at hotel, Plaza. So Plaza Accord. The increase in the value of yen. The result of Plaza Accord was increase in the value of yen. So the background is like this. The United States was having a twin deficit. First deficit is a government budget deficit, which is we call it fiscal deficit. Revenue against expenditure of the government of the United States deficit for a long time. And another one, trade deficit. So-called the twin deficit. The trade deficit, United States blamed that on Japan because they said Japan could export many products to America because of low value of yen. Because you, Japan, your yen value was too low. So we want you to increase your value of yen. So that was the Plaza Accord. As a result of the increase in the value of yen, Japan at the time was having huge trade surplus. Japan became known as a, new tiger, whatever, dragon, that would invade American markets with cars, electronics, TVs, and whatever, VCR, video cassette recorder at that time, and all this. So a lot of trade deficit, huge trade deficit of United States with Japan. So increase the value of yen. So suddenly, Japan with big surplus, trade surplus, became rich because the value of yen up. So Japanese companies were looking at places to invest with a lot of money now because of yen went up significantly. I don't know how many percent, a lot. Uh, Having too much money now. Oh yeah, interestingly, Japan, Sony bought Columbia Pictures. That's how in the 1980s, late 80s, Japan, a lot of money because value of yen went up because of Plaza Accord. Sony from Japan bought Columbia Pictures, the company that made movies. But okay, that's a side story. Japan with a lot of money looking at place to invest. Look at places to invest. Aha, Malaysia. They found Malaysia. It's a stable country. No natural disaster. No typhoon. Tak ada taufan. No typhoon. Uh, no war. Nothing. Very stable politically, and good infrastructure. Good civil service. System left from the British. Everything nice. So Malaysia became a darling for Japanese investors. So because of that, with the 1985, 1986 liberalization, export promotion, 1986, okay, the PIA 86, and plus Dr. Mahathir later 1983, he began with policy that was pro-Japanese, look East policy, buy British laws. What happened to buy British laws? Because the government of Britain increased the fees for students to study in the country, and other things. So Dr. Mahathir buy British laws. We favor Japanese. So he started this look East policy, dasar pandang ke timur, to study the values and work ethic of Japanese and work ethic of Koreans. So with that, everything's so nice for Japanese. Okay, pro Japan. So that was the role of Japan in Malaysia's industrialization, especially Mitsubishi team up with Highcom to produce Proton. Somehow later, Mitsubishi pull out and then privatize to private company, MRCB, and Tan Sri Rahaya Allah Yarham was the head of MRCB, and now Proton as is, no more. I mean, just a little part of the Malaysian GLC in there. Of course, there is always GLC, but half, more than half, nearly. Proton now is owned by 51% by a company from China, Proton, nearly. That was the boss of Proton is from China, of course, in Malaysia. That's how the transformation of Proton itself from a government to link company to now a private company. Yes, Mitsubishi and Produa, Daihatsu, and not only that, there's automobile, more in the electronic sector produced. Malaysia, let me tell you, in late 80s and early 90s, Malaysia was the largest exporter of television in the world. Made in Malaysia TV. Of course, not by Malaysian company, by Sony. Sony producing in Malaysia. All this. So mostly Japanese contribution for rapid industrialization in Malaysia. The role, the question, are in the heavy industry, especially the automobile, and also steel and the electronics at that time. Consumer electronics, yes, you must make a differentiation. Consumer electronics, TV, all this consumer. Whereas the manufacturing of Malaysia's main export, remember 776 SITC, was semiconductor, is from companies from United States of America, and some companies from Japan, Taiwan, Korean, but mainly companies from America that produces semiconductor in Malaysia for exports. Denying there is also contribution of Japanese in the semiconductor in Malaysia, but not big. Japanese contribution more in consumer electronics. You understand? Consumer dah siap barang, TV, mesin basuh, consumer. Di semiconductor barang tak siap. This is not consumer electronics. It's a component. Okay, that's the end. One more question, please. I'm glad I give you the information, Plaza Accord. If that was done in Code Diang Accord. Next question, please.
Doctor, this is Sanif, and I have questions for the presenter. My question is, can you explain why manufacturing is important for country development? The next question is, why is the manufacturing industry declining, and what are the causes of the fall in manufacturing employment in developed economies?
Oh yeah, that's a general trend. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. The first question, why is manufacturing important for the country development? It's because the innovation found in the manufacturing industry has helped to increase economic productivity too. Since the Industrial Revolution, the way we produce and consume goods have changed, and its innovation that allowed and continue allowing the national to become increasingly more productive in the services offered. The second question, why is the manufacturing industry declining? This is because the industry every year. Technology has helped make manufacturers much efficient in producing products. However, because the technology has made things more efficient, there are fewer fields. And the last one, causes of the falling in manufacturing employment. Manufacturing employment is because what is causes? The causes is the change in skill required to perform new tasks in manufacturing, along with the import competition and a decline in mobility, have contributed to the decline of employment rates for manufacturing since 2000. Okay, that's all.
Yeah, I want to add the first question. Um, why important manufacturing? Not mentioned just now, the multiplier effect. You mentioned correctly already. You must add multiplier effect, you know, through the backward linkages. And for Malaysia especially, Malaysia export oriented, small, open economy. Small, open economy and export oriented economy, manufacturing is very important for Malaysia's export engine. And for Malaysia, export is like a engine of growth. So manufacturing is very important. Second one, why he was three questions actually. He was asking. Second one, he was asking why overall. That's what I said overall. Why the contribution in GDP, the share contribution of manufacturing went up and down, and now down, because that's the general trend, stylistic fact of the economy. As the economy becomes mature into more high income, the service sector is becoming more important in terms of contribution. I'm not saying importance in the sense of important, not important. I'm talking only in terms of share in GDP, okay? Because all are important. Even agriculture important. Even though the share is only by how many percent? 7%, 8%? But important, all important. But in terms of share, yes, that's the general trend for the economy all over the world. When the economy is moving toward more high income, agriculture goes down, manufacturing that went up now going down, contribution into GDP more by the service sector. So you can refer that to book by Hollis Chenery, Chenery. So not part of your class. This we're talking about development economics. Hollis Chenery, uh, stylized fact, fakta, fakta ter stylized. That style, macam tu style. So stylized fact, fakta takkan kata terstyle, I have to find a word for that. Okay, stylized fact. But that way, memang akan jadi macam tu. The trend will be more high income, more services contribution compared with other sector. So Malaysia is moving toward that. Okay. And the third question you were asking, employment. Yes, employment is tricky. I don't know the exact answer. I have to look at the employment data. However, during the golden years of Malaysia, manufacturing employment was very, very strong, increase during the golden years. But after the 1997, 98 East Asian crisis, Malaysia went again. Recession, of course, recession. Different recession 85, 1.5 only. There was commodities prices collapse, and this one currency crisis, recession, I forgot, 7% or what, minus, even more. But these are relative things. 1.5 at that time in 1985 was big. So numbers are relative, okay, including according to time as well. And manufacturing suffer a lot because of financial crisis. But that manufacturing, yeah, because the currency, but however, the policy, the measure taken by Dr. Mahathir is capital control and pegging the ringgit with USD, constant 3 ringgit 80 cents for 2 years. That brought stability to the currency of Malaysia. So Malaysia was operating on that. So manufacturing went up again in terms of contribution to GDP until 2005, going down. But employment, I don't know the answer exactly. I have to check the data, but I would bet, okay, because, sorry for that, because, for us, we have to check data, employment data. So, but I can tell you clearly, during the golden years, employment in manufacturing was growing and growing. And at that time, mostly the locals. That's very important. The golden years, the Malaysians got the manufacturing jobs. But after the East Asian financial crisis, 1997-98, so there was a lot of restructuring of the Malaysian economy, capital market, everything, restructure the companies, and so on. So that was the beginning of somehow Malaysia wanted to move to graduate, to make all these companies, including multinational from overseas operating here, to graduate from labor intensive to more capital and more high technology intensive. Because during the golden years, it was just so nice. Malaysia had a lot of labor, local labor at that time. But by the year 2000, Malaysia began to experience shortage of labor. And that's why foreign labor came in. Previously, foreign labor came in for 3D jobs, dirty, dangerous. But now, today, foreign labor are working in Malaysian factories. Shortage of labor, domestic labor. Not only factories, not only in plantation, palm oil, but also in factories. So, yes, the employment is kind of tricky. So I would suggest to you that I should check the latest employment data in manufacturing to compare with previously during the golden years. But one thing, we must look at the rate of growth, because employment in manufacturing today could be higher. The number, absolute number, could be higher than during the golden years. I'm not saying the number was down. The number today could be higher, the number, absolute number, compared with the golden years. When was golden years? 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, no more. 97 still, 98, no more. During those times, the number could be lower than today, but the rate of growth was growing fast. That's the point that when I'm say to you, it's tricky. I cannot answer you just like that. Tricky should not look only at the number, but the rate of growth. I would say during the golden years, the rate of growth was, we have no time to do it now, we check after this, tonight, the rate of growth was tremendous. But today, the rate of growth in the manufacturing jobs may increase, maybe slightly increase, but low. That's my point. And yet, the COVID-19 lockdown was really make a dent in terms of employment. So now to recover. Okay, we have 5 minutes. One last question. I'm gonna share you with you. Last one, please. We may get a short answer. Last one. I'm gonna share with you the QR code for attendance anytime soon. One last, please. Anyone?
I have a question.
Yes. Who's
The
this?
situation is now foreign workers in factories in Malaysia. Government seems to be closing one eyes, which is led us foreign labours, so that foreign-owned companies will not move out to other countries. Actually, what the real problems?
Yes, good question. I mentioned partly we wanted to graduate, but companies choose not to graduate. Multinational companies. Okay, what's your answer, Sabrina?
Okay. For the question, the presence of many foreign workers in Malaysia is caused by the attitude of the people who do not want to certain job even though they are actually capable of doing it. In fact, it is because the foreign workers are willing to do the same work but at the minimum wage. Unfortunately, this kind of income is not enough for the person to support his life and family, especially if he lives in a big city. It is high time for leaders and nations to realize that the problem of income not matching the cost of the living cannot be solved just by the fact that nations are lazy workers or being too picky when looking for a job.
Okay. My quick answer, multinational companies would have to spend new machine, new type of mode of production, and that will cost them more money. But they have the plants already, the factories here. So that's why it's allowed for them to use foreign labor in their factory. So the same mode, same type of production, labor intensive. And that's how we're not getting that graduation from labor intensive to more capital and more technology intensive. Sad story about Malaysia's industrialization that way. So it's up to local companies. Local companies also lacking technology to do that. So technology, uh, mastering technology is very important for everything. Money, capital, you can find it. No money, no problem. But no technology, a problem. So we have to end it there. So now the QR code. So technology, very important for the success of a nation. You need money, of course, but money, you can find it. You can borrow, but the more important thing is technology. So now I share the QR code. Thank you for coming today. So we'll discuss more in the Telegram. I'm gonna post more pictures. I'm gonna show you about You can look at my video, YouTube video, how to find data from Comtrade and ITC. And if you like the video, please like the video and subscribe to my YouTube. You'll get more videos like that. Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor. Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor.
Can someone stop the recording? Because I don't want to touch the button. I don't want to lose the code. Thank you.